Welcome to the AEN Stories channel.
I was at the shop when my phone started buzzing like a trapped fly. 3 missed calls in a row from our neighbor, Mrs. Avery, then a number I didn't recognize, then another one from her. It was a little after 4 on a Thursday in early fall, that time of year when the air smells like dry leaves and brake pads. I had a carburetor in pieces and a radio talk show muttering in the background about football, the kind of noise you stop hearing when you've been hearing it too long. "David?" she said when I picked up, her voice already halfway to panic. "Are you home? Something's going on at your house. Your alarm." It took me a second to climb out of the world of stripped screws and into hers. "My alarm? What's happening?" "It's going off. The fire one. Everyone can hear it. There's a smell. I can't tell if it's smoke or well, I smell something. I already called 911. I'm sorry if that's jumping." "No," I said, untangling my keys. "No, thank you. I'm on my way." I left the carburetor like a body on a table and told Miguel to lock up if I didn't make it back. He raised his eyebrows, then looked at my face and didn't ask. My hands were already shaking as I got into the truck. On the drive, I watched the same stretch of road I hope never to forget and never to see again. Mailboxes, a kid in a hoodie chewing gum, a dog that always looks like it's planning something. I called Laura. It rang 4 times and kicked to voicemail. I hung up and tried again. She answered on the second ring. "Hey," she said, light, almost cheerful. "What's up?" "What's up is the house alarm's going off," I said. "Mrs. Avery called. They called the fire department." A pause, short enough to be almost nothing, long enough to be something. "What?" "I'm at the mall. I ran out to pick up a few things for Ethan's." "What mall? Which one?" I asked, because questions are a ladder, and you climb them when you don't know where the ground is. "Westfield," she said. "Why?" "You're sure?" I said. "Because I'm pulling onto Sycamore now and—" "David, I'm sure," she said, sharper. I needed a minute. "It's been a week. Is Ethan home?" "No," I said. "Practice. He's at the field. I'm almost there." I turned onto our street and saw the cluster of neighbors forming the kind of semicircle people make when they want to be close but don't want to be guilty. The front door was standing open. Our smoke alarm wailed in that high, hammering pitch designed to make you grab your most important things and leave behind the rest. The wail did its job. I felt 12 again at the sound of it. The first fire truck arrived with a kind of dignity, no lights, just that big red certainty rolling down the street. The second truck came fast enough to make the kids on their bikes stop what they were doing and stare. I recognized Firehouse 9 on the side. We see them at the 4th of July pancake breakfast every year. They wave at everyone and flip pancakes like magicians. A captain hopped down, eyes already scanning. "You the homeowner?" he asked me. He was young enough to make me feel old, hard-muscled in the way that says you lift more than hoses. "Yeah," I said. "I'm David Lang." "You got anyone inside, Mr. Lang?" "No," I said, breath catching on the word. "No one. My wife's out. My son's at practice." He nodded. "We're going to do a sweep. Alarm like that, 9 times out of 10 it's a sensor or a stovetop that forgot itself. You have a gas stove?" "Electric," I said. "Okay." He turned to his team and said the kind of sentence you say when your job is a blend of routine and risk, 2 and masks up. "Quick sweep. Check kitchen, utility, attic access. Soot odors in the air." I stood in my yard like a guest. The firefighters moved like people who learned long ago how to keep their breath steady when other breaths aren't. 2 went in with axes they didn't need yet, 1 stood just to the right of the door holding a thermal imager like a taser from the future. The captain stood with me. "You hear it chirp like that often?" he asked, nodding toward the ceiling of our house that I suddenly imagined blackened. "Once or twice," I said. "When the battery gets low." He nodded, checking boxes in his head. "Any renovations recently? New appliances? Space heaters?" "No," I said. "Just living." Neighbors drifted closer. The Murphys from across the street. The new couple at the corner with the baby that never seems to sleep at a reasonable hour. Mrs. Avery hugged her sweater tighter even though the afternoon was warm. "I'm so sorry," she said to me. "I didn't know if I should wait. But the sound, and the smell." "You did right," I said. "Thank you." It came out too soft. My voice didn't know what size to be. The team inside called something muffled over their radios. The captain answered, "Listen," nodded. "Looks like the smoke sensor in the laundry room tripped," he told me. "They're saying light haze, dryer vent backed up maybe, or a lint catch." "You been having longer dry times?" "Yeah," I said, shame washing over me like I'd been personally neglectful. "Yeah, now that you mention it. Most house fires start in kitchens or laundry," he said like a teacher who's learned not to get mad at students for being students. "We'll pull the plug, clear the air, make sure the duct isn't hosting a possum. Should be okay." My shoulders dropped a half-inch. People breathed again around me. "Thank you," I said. He shrugged like the thank you belonged to the world. I called Laura back. "It's the dryer," I said when she picked up. "They're checking it." "Oh, good," she said. "I told you it was sounding weird." "We'll talk about it," I said. "Where are you exactly?" "Just I told you," she said. "Westfield." "Send me a picture," I said. I don't know why I said it. My mouth outran my mercy. "What?" she said, offended in the sharp way that tells you the offense isn't about the question. "David, come on." "I'm standing in the yard while our house screams," I said, keeping my voice low. "I'm not going to fight with you about a picture." "I'll call you back," she said, and hung up. It wasn't the ending I would have chosen. Across the street, Mr. Murphy had his doorbell camera feed pulled up on his phone because men love having tools when we don't have answers. "Cap," he called to the captain, raising a hand like he was in school. "If it helps, we can roll back my camera. I saw a little haze from the side vent like a half hour ago." The captain, who is paid to be both a scientist and a neighbor, nodded. "Could be useful. We're trying to nail down ignition, make sure we aren't missing a runaway. Can you step over here?" They huddled over the tiny screen, backs to me, and I felt like someone peeking through a fence at my own life. "There," Murphy said, rewinding with his thumb. "See that wispy bit? Timestamp says 3:42. The captain squinted. "Yep, laundry vent. What's that between the cars?" "Just the cul-de-sac, man," Murphy said, then pinched the screen bigger, the way you enlarge your own troubles. "Huh? That your wife's car?" I took a step I didn't realize I was taking. On the tiny screen, our driveway sat at a slant. At 3:39, our garage door went up. Laura's SUV backed out, nose turning not toward the main road, not toward Westfield, which would have been right, toward the freeway ramp and the rows of chain stores and families pushing carts. It angled left, the direction people go when they're not going to the mall. Left, toward the turn that takes you to the Holiday Inn off Route 6, toward the motel with the weird cactus sign someone thought would be cute in the 80s and never changed. I felt my jaw set in that stubborn way that made a dentist once ask if I grind my teeth. On the screen, the timestamp said 3:39 and 12 seconds. Laura's next to me, "I'm at the mall" was sent at 3:41. The captain looked up at me, then away, then back. He's likely seen men understand things at the exact moment those things become unbearable. He tried to make the conversation about his job again. "Helps us narrow it," he said, tapping the vent on the screen with a gloved finger. "If exhaust started then, by the time the detector chirped at 4, that tracks, slow and smolder, trip the sensor, no flame. You'll want to protosnake the vent. I can give you a card." "Thanks," I said, because there are still polite lines even on days when the street tilts. I didn't look at Murphy. I didn't want to see apology for a thing he hadn't done. More neighbors drifted over, because tragedy and near tragedy are gravity. Two teenage boys in baseball hats stood with their hands in their pockets like they'd been growing into those hands all year waiting for this. The new couple bounced their baby even though it wasn't crying. The baby looked at me with that big calm babies have and I wanted to be angry at it, and then I hated myself for that. The firefighters came out with their masks still around their necks, sweating like decent men. "We're all clear," one of them said to the captain. "Dryer's off. There's a lint bridge in the vent. Heat-soaked and smoldered. No flame. No property damage. You're lucky." "I know," I said, and the sentence carried more weight than he knew. Ethan's friend's mom's minivan pulled up just then. Sarah, who once brought brownies to an after-game potluck so good people made jokes about marrying her. Ethan hopped out, hair matted with sweat, cleats clacking on the sidewalk, his backpack banging against his shoulder. He took in the trucks, the neighbors, the way the sky seems brighter when there's danger. He saw me and went pale in that way teenagers do when they realize they still belong to the world but the world isn't consulting them. "Dad?" he said. "What happened?" "Lint," I said, trying to make it funny. "Dryer got mad at us for ignoring it." He blew out a breath. Then he laughed once. "Seriously?" "Seriously," I said. "We're okay." One of the firefighters, older, with a mustache that belongs in a calendar, squatted to Ethan's level like he was still 8. "You ever clean a lint trap, kid?" he asked. "Sometimes," Ethan said. "Do it every load," the firefighter said. "And that vent in the back? Your dad's going to hire a guy to clean it. Then you tell your friends you're a hero because you didn't let your house burn down." Ethan nodded solemnly, shoulders loosening. The firefighter winked and stood. "We'll file the report," he said to me. "You'll get a copy. Replace that detector, we got a spare in the truck. Want me to swap it?" "Yes, please," I said. He grinned and went to his truck, returned with a new unit in a brown little box like a gift no one wants but everyone needs. We were halfway back to normal by the time Laura pulled up. She parked a little crooked, like she might still be in a different parking lot in her mind. She got out and put her sunglasses on top of her head. She took in the trucks, the neighbors, the captain, the new detector, Ethan, me. She pasted on a smile that would have worked any day before this one. "What a circus," she said, "too bright." "Where were you?" Ethan asked, beating me to it. "Mall," she said, automatic, then tripped on the word. I got caught up. "How is everything?" "Fine," I said. "Dryer vent. They swapped the detector." She smiled at the captain like she knew him. "Thank you so much. We appreciate you." The captain nodded in that professional way of people who don't want to get between bullets and the people who shoot them. "All part of the job," he said. "We'll be out of your hair." He clapped me on the shoulder once, a gesture that tried to acknowledge more than it could. Then the trucks pulled away, one by one, that big red certainty rolling down the street again, the noise of them swallowed back into ordinary suburban quiet. The neighbors peeled off too, their faces arranged into that careful nothingness people wear when they know too much and want to still be invited to barbecues. "Mrs. Avery patted my arm. "We're so glad everyone's okay," she said, then lowered her voice in that way that makes the lowered words heavier. "We're here if you need anything." "Thank you," I said, again, because thank you is a raft. We went inside. The house smelled like warm plastic and lemon cleaner, the odor the air makes when it's been stirred too much. Ethan dropped his backpack by the bench like it had sinned against him. Laura stood in the kitchen and put her purse down and then moved it 3 inches and then put it back, because if you can't fix the day you fix the counter. "Do we need to order pizza?" she asked, as if food might fill in the burned parts of things. "Where were you?" Ethan asked again, more quietly this time, the question not letting go. "Ethan," I said, not to protect her but to hold him. "No," he said, and that no was older than 15. "No, because all of this everyone was out here because the alarm went off and we thought something was wrong and you said you were at the mall and Mr. Murphy's camera showed." He stopped like the part of him that is still a kid remembered he shouldn't be the one to say this. He looked at me. "I didn't save her, and I didn't save him from the saying." "Murphy's camera caught you leaving," I said to Laura. "You turned left." "So?" she said, voice small against the word. "So?" Like a kid trying to talk her way out of a detention. "So the mall is right," I said. "Left is the old Holiday Inn." She didn't say anything. She didn't have to. In our kitchen, With our clean counter and our scorched air, the silence did the work. Ethan's mouth trembled even while his eyes hardened. "Are you serious?" he asked her. "You left the house and lied and then everyone came to save us and you were?" He stopped again, choking on the imageless. He looked at me. "Dad?" "I don't know," I said. "The truest thing in the room. I know where the car went. I know what the camera saw." Laura put a hand on the back of a chair and missed. "It's not," she started, then stalled. "It's not what you think." The most famous sentence in the world, and still no one has found a way to make it sound credible. "What is it then?" Ethan asked, no theatrics, just bone. "What is it?" I needed to talk to someone," she said, and the words sounded like a script handed to her by 1,000 stories. It's complicated." "It's not complicated," he said, and at that moment he looked like a man I didn't know in a way that scared me and made me proud. "It's not complicated at all." He went upstairs. I listened to his feet on the steps, the slam of his door, the old house settling around his anger like a dog curling around a sleeping kid. Laura stood there, both hands on the counter finally, where the laminate met the open air. "I'm sorry," she said. "That's not enough, I know, but it's the only thing I have that isn't a lie." "I need you to stop talking to him," I said, my voice finding a road it didn't know it had. "Whoever he is. I need you to call, text, whatever it takes, and tell him it's over." She nodded, small, like a student who had lost the argument and gained the lesson. "I already did," she said. "Yesterday. That's why today I was going to tell you. I didn't want to do it in the morning before school. I didn't want to ruin Ethan's day." She laughed once, a sound that admitted it wasn't a joke. "Look how that turned out." "We're going to counseling," I said. I don't know where the certainty came from, only that it arrived like a glass of water. "All of us. You and me. Ethan if he'll go. We're going to find someone to hold the map while we figure out whether the road still exists." She nodded. "Okay," she said. "I'll make the call." She reached for her purse, then for her phone, then for me, stopping before she got to any of them. We ate pizza because the promise had been made out in the yard and some promises have to be kept even while the roof feels like it might fall. Ethan didn't come down. I texted him a plate emoji and a heart and got nothing back, which is still an answer. Later, when the house had darkened and the alarm silence sounded louder than it should, I knocked on his door. "It's me," I said. "Can I?" He opened it just enough. He had that clenched look boys get when they're trying not to cry past the age where they think it's allowed. "I heard everything," he said. "Everything anyone said out there. Mr. Murphy's camera. The fire guy. Mom lying. I heard it all." "You weren't supposed to," I said, then laughed because what a stupid thing to say. "I'm sorry." "I don't want to talk to her," he said. "Not now. Maybe not for a long time." "That's okay," I said. "You don't have to decide tonight." He nodded. He opened the door a little more. "If the house burned down," he said, like a thought he'd been nursing and hadn't planned on releasing, "and no one was in it, would we still be a family?" "Yes," I said, too quickly and just right. "No house decides that." He nodded again like he was adding it to a list. "Okay," he said. He closed the door gently. It felt worse than a slam. Laura slept in the guest room on sheets that suddenly smelled like unfamiliar laundry soap even though I know they were washed here. I lay awake long enough to hear the sprinklers come on next door and the coyotes test their choir. Around 2 a.m. my phone flashed. A text from an unknown number, "We're done. Don't contact me again." Then, a second later, "Wrong number, sorry." Then, nothing. In the morning, Laura had coffee made like muscle memory could save us. Ethan came down, grabbed a banana and his backpack, didn't look at her. "I'll drive you," I said. "I can bike," he said. "I'll drive you," I said again. He shrugged, the shrug that is a yes when you can't say yes. In the car, he stared out the window and did the teenage thing where you communicate with silences and half-breaths. At the school, he got out, closed the door, then leaned back down to look at me through the window. "You're still my dad," he said like someone might have told him otherwise. "You're still my kid," I said. It was the only exchange that didn't feel like it was breaking something. I called a counselor after drop-off, a name Miguel had given me months ago when his marriage went through its own laundry fire. The woman at the office used a voice like soft towels. "We can see you Thursday," she said. "Your wife Monday. Family after that, if that's where this goes." "That's where this goes," I said, though I didn't know. The captain left a voicemail, report filed. Replace the duct. Call us if you smell anything else weird. The practical saved me from wandering too far out to sea, so I called a vent cleaning service and a handyman. I cleaned the lint trap with the reverence of a convert. I texted Ethan at lunch, "Want burgers tonight?" He replied with a thumbs up, which is teenage for "I like the world again" for the next 20 minutes. When Laura came home from work that night, she stood in the entryway like a guest, hands empty. "Do I need to go?" she asked, and I understood go meant her sister's pull-out couch, a suitcase, the uglier version of ourselves. "Not yet," I said. "We'll do the guest room for now. We'll build a schedule. I don't want to be the person who makes this a battlefield more than it already is." "Okay," she said, and exhaled like someone who had been holding air since 3:39 p.m. the day before. "I told him it's over," she added, an offering that didn't buy what she wanted it to buy. "I know," I said, because of the text from the unknown number, because of the way her face looked when the camera's timestamp lined up with the one in my head. We made dinner like an apology. Ethan ate in front of the TV with the show turned up louder than usual, the laugh track filling in the edges of the room. After, he went to his friend's house and didn't ask permission in a way that reminded me I have to keep being the parent, no matter how familiar it feels to be the one leaving rooms without asking. I took the new detector out of its little box and mounted it in the hallway while Laura held the flashlight. We did not talk about the metaphor of it. We did not talk about alarms and late warnings and batteries you forget to replace until one day you don't. We just installed the thing that might save our lives while our lives asked if they wanted saving. At bedtime, Ethan texted goodnight from his friend's house like a soldier. I sat on the edge of the guest bed and stared at the carpet because sometimes staring is the work. Laura stood in the doorway, hair down, ring still on, the small creases by her eyes that came when Ethan was born, when bills were late, when her mother got sick, when we argued about nothing on a Wednesday once 10 years ago. "I'm sorry," she said again, like maybe if she said it every day it would turn into a brick we could build with. "I'm going to show up. I'm going to do the awful work. I can't ask you to promise me anything. I can ask you to let me try." "Okay," I said. The word means everything and nothing. After she left, I lay back and listened to the new alarm in the hall, quiet and ready, and thought about the neighbors and the trucks and the little screen in Mr. Murphy's hand, how whole neighborhood got pulled into a truth no one wanted because a piece of plastic did what it's supposed to do. Most affairs get found because somebody goes looking. Ours walked into the yard, red lights and all, the whole street listening. In the morning, I put on coffee and made Ethan's lunch even though he usually makes his own now. I put a sticky note in the bag with a stupid joke about lint and a drawing of a stick figure with crazy hair. He rolled his eyes when he found it and didn't hide the smile. We drove to school with the radio low. When he got out, he said, "Tonight burgers again." And I said, "Sure," and that was more than I had yesterday. I don't know the end of this. I know the middle looks like this: Thursday at the counselor's office where plants don't die and people say sentences like structure is safety, Saturday with a guy in a uniform snaking a vent and telling me stories about birds that build in ducts, Monday where Laura and I sit on opposite ends of a couch and try to say nouns instead of adjectives, Tuesday when Ethan says mom without that flinch, a month from now when maybe I stop hearing the alarm even when it isn't ringing. For now, I keep the new detector's manual in the junk drawer with the batteries and the coupons we forget to use. I put the handyman's card on the fridge. I clean the lint trap every load. I text Ethan dumb memes. I answer Laura's texts with sentences that don't insult either of us. I wave at the neighbors and thank the men in the red trucks when I see them at the grocery store buying too much coffee. We had an alarm. It did what it was supposed to do. Not the one in the hallway, the other one, the one in a life. It sounded at the worst possible time. It brought a crowd. It embarrassed us. It saved us, a little. Maybe that's all alarms can promise. The rest is up to the people standing in the yard, deciding whether to run toward the smoke or the exit. I'm trying to choose right. Ethan is watching to see if I do. That might be the only thing that matters. Thank you for listening my story. If you want more raw, real, and gripping stories like this one, subscribe to the AEN Stories channel. Your support keeps these stories alive.